Hey, what up? It's Carter from the Peekaboo Boxing Academy, and in tonight's video, what I wanted to talk with you about is why using the Peekaboo boxing style, otherwise known as the cuss style here at the gym, is literally a cheat code against your opponents, all right? And understanding the reasons behind that is actually going to increase your ability as a fighter in this style because it creates what I like to call buy-in. All right, so for those of you who do not know me, my name's Carter Weber. I train fighters here at Customato's Gym in Catskill, New York, and I was personally mentored by fighters who were trained by the late, great Customato, the great Teddy Atlas, and who grew up with Mike Tyson himself. All right, so understanding the reasons why the cuss style is like a literal cheat code is actually going to increase your ability as a fighter because it creates what I like to call buy-in, and that is basically where when you understand it better and you have conviction in what you're doing, it's going to allow you to be more successful at it, right? If you don't really know the reasons why something works or if it's going to work or how it's going to work, you're not going to approach it with the same conviction, right? There's a ton of great advice out there on the internet. There's a ton of great boxing advice out there, fighting advice out there. But what happens is that we usually don't follow through on it because we don't have buy-in. We aren't bought into the ideas that are being sold to us, all right? So what I want to do today is kind of just, crack open the vault and just give you a look inside of the cuss style from somebody that actually knows how to teach it so that I can increase this buy-in factor for you and also educate you a little bit on the cuss style, all right? So that being said, as always, I want you to lock in, I want you to take notes, and let's crack into it.
Professional fighter is gonna learn how to hit and not get hit, at the same time be excited. That's what professional boxing is. You gotta be clever, you gotta be smart, and not get hit. And when you're able to do this, you're a fighter.
All right, so why is the Customato style of boxing so effective? So what I'm leaning on right here is just one of many pieces of equipment that Customato invented, right? And one very popular one that you might not know that Cuss invented is the slip bag, something that is universally used across boxing styles. Customato's brother was a chiropractor, and he actually came up with this idea of the slip bag, and then Cuss had all of his fighters train on it, all right? So this idea of being elusive in boxing, although Cuss is not the pioneer of that, he's the pioneer of many different philosophies and ways of training that allowed his fighters to be elusive. And, even though many other boxers, they use things like the slip bag, they use the heavy bag, they don't have all the tools that Customato gave his fighters. And in my opinion, it makes them lesser as a result, and it gives you the advantage if you can use all these different tools that Cuss had his fighters use, right? So one such invention is the Willie bag, right? So the Willie bag is your first advantage as somebody in the Cuss style, all right? So the Willie bag, the point behind it is that basically a lot of fighters, they start slow when they're punching, okay? And the idea that Cuss had is that through repetition, all right? And Cuss understood that boxing is all about repetition. It's all about ingraining things into your nervous system so that you do them automatically, right? He doesn't expect you to just do what he says. He wants you to, apply it through repetition. Cuss understood that through repetition, you're going to build up your speed. You're going to build up your form if you have somebody there coaching you the right way. So Cuss would use this tool, the Willie bag, and he would have tapes where he would play out numbers, and he would gradually increase the speed of those numbers over several months. Okay, and what would happen is the fighter who started out slow, he would build himself up and up and up and up, right? So he would get faster, he would get better stamina, right? But what's the other thing that the Willie bag adds that most boxers don't have? You see, the way that Customato would call out combination punches and the way that we throw combination punches in the Cuss style is we throw punches in bunches, right? We don't just throw, one or two shots. We throw, 3, 4, 5 punch combinations, all right? And that's your first advantage using the Cuss style, okay? Most boxers, they train, maybe 3 punch combinations at most, 4 or 5 punch combinations now and then, okay? So even at a high level, you'll see boxers, just going 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but they're not doing those bigger combinations more often. In the Cuss style, the entire style is predicated on volume of output, okay? So on the Willie bag, if you learn the Cuss style correctly, what's going to happen is you're going to learn how to throw 4 or 5 punch combinations at a speed in which most other fighters, they simply can't put up with it. And even if another fighter can throw a 4 or 5 punch combination, they can't sustain that throughout a fight. What the Willie bag does is it trains you to rattle off those combinations extremely quickly, but it also trains you to have the stamina to be able to do that throughout, you know, a 12-round fight if you end up having to fight that one day, okay? So the Willie bag alone gives you a big advantage because you just work out so hard on it that, number one, you're going to be in way better shape than any of your other opponents. But on top of that, you're going to be able to just have so much more of an output than the other opponents, which overwhelms them, you know, physically, you know, in terms of your output. You know, they throw 1, you throw 3. They throw 3, you throw 5. That's the, you know, that's the mentality. And that's actually what Teddy Atlas would tell the fighters here at the gym back in the day, right? So not only are you overwhelming them, you know, just objectively, but you're also overwhelming them emotionally, because when a guy is getting pelted with that many punches that often, it breaks down his psyche, okay? And even if you don't have like Mike Tyson levels of power, just the fact that you're hitting somebody with that many punches while they remain stationary for half a second or a split second that it takes you to get those punches off, if you do that with consistency throughout a fight, you're going to wear them down emotionally. If they don't have that resilience built up, which most boxers do not, even at a high level. You know, most boxers are used to getting their, you know, getting their way, and they're so skilled that they always get their way. The moment that they don't, they falter, okay? So if you can land, you know, 4 or 5 punch combinations on fighters with consistency, it does a lot to them psychologically, okay? And that's a massive advantage for you that no other fighter in any other style is going to have, because we train this way every single day, every single combination. We try to get to perfection, okay? And that's the way that we train. Now, the other thing is that we use equipment such as the slip bag to master our ability to be elusive, all right? And there's levels to the slip bag that Customato taught, all right? It's not just the simple back and forth slipping that you see Mike Tyson doing, right? There's actually levels to that slip bag that you are able to learn. And on top of that, we also practice moves in the ring every day, drills, basically repetitions every day, to the point of just complete exhaustion every single day, just monotonous over and over and over again, so that as we get more skilled, you know, in boxing, as we get more ring IQ, we start to, you know, fit these different moves that we practice into our sparring. We see openings. As we get calmer, we see, you know, where we can fit these, you know, different moves in. And so the idea is that we're constantly practicing our elusiveness with things like the moves, as they're, you know, as they were called here back in the day, and through the slip bag. But on top of that, we practice our elusiveness on the Willie bag, and we practice it on the heavy bag, and we practice it in our sparring. We move after our last punch every single time, all right? Now, in most boxing styles, right, the fighters, they kind of just move their head a little bit, they move their head a little bit, but really they're still on the center line, okay? They try to catch punches, which is all right, but in our style, what we like to do is we like to basically move our head after every single punch. And we don't just, you know, slip a little bit. No, we slip outside the shoulder, and, you know, we slip 2 to 3 times after every single one of our punches, all right? And what this does is it gets us in a ridiculous amount of shape, but it also basically trains our nervous system to move 3 to 5 times more than the average boxer, or even the, you know, most in shape boxers, all right? So our elusiveness, due to the way that we train, is way above. It's a step above basically anything else that you're going to learn. But again, this is only if you learn the cuss style correctly, all right? And you might be thinking, okay, Carter, if the cuss style is so great, you know, I want to believe, I want to believe, but if it's so great, then why haven't we seen anybody else dominate with it? And the reason is because nobody has taught it properly over the years, all right? There's a very specific way that you have to learn the cuss style. There's very specific steps to it. You need a specific environment. You need a specific training schedule, because it's a lot of work. It is the hardest style to master, right? It's not a magic pill. But that being said, if you master it, it is quite literally a cheat code. You have a massive advantage over your opponents, because fighters simply won't be able to touch you. All right. And one example that I've used in a couple other videos is, you know, one of my mentors who was trained by Teddy and Cuss, what he explained to me is, you know, he said, Carter, Teddy would take us down, you know, to the Bronx for these smokers sometimes, these unsanctioned bouts to get experience. All right. And what he told me was, he said, if the other gyms knew that our gym was coming, they would pull all their fighters out. They wouldn't even try because they were that elusive, all right? Not just Mike Tyson. No, the 12 other kids that were loaded into that van going to the Bronx, you couldn't lay a glove on them because they were so skillful and elusive, even for their age. And in fact, Wilfredo Benitez actually visited the gym while Cuss was still alive. And I've had some of my mentors tell me this themselves, that Wilfredo came up on the stage and he watched the fighters. He watched, the 12-year-old kids, and he watched how elusive they were, and he was impressed, and he just watched their movements, all right? So that goes to show how elusive fighters in the Cuss style were. And again, Cuss is the inventor of the slip bag, right? So being elusive is super important to him, but he didn't just invent the slip bag and say, okay, we're just going to slip a little bit like most other boxers do. No, he said, we're going to take it to the next level, and then some, and then some, and then some. So our elusiveness is above anything else that you're going to find in boxing. All right. Our output in terms of our punch volume is above anything else. Our ability to just be in shape and just not get tired above anything else in boxing, if you're practicing the Cuss style the correct way, which is why I made the channel. And I already have a bunch of basics laid out if you haven't checked those videos out already. How to do the stance, how to do the slip bag, right? How to do your head movement, how to do some basic moves, how to do the basic Willie bag tape. All stuff like that you can practice right now if you haven't already, all right? So right there, you have a massive advantage. Now, the other thing that goes hand in hand in the Cuss style, with the physical stuff, is the idea that your mental fortitude is above other fighters, all right? All of the fighters that were tutored in the Cuss style, they all had an understanding of the 80-20 of boxing, the psychology of boxing, which is that they understood the art of intimidation. They understood how fear worked. They understood, how to control themselves, how to, fire themselves up, how to use their fear as fire, right? Things that I've talked about in other videos on the channel. Again, other fighters don't get this. And, a lot of these other fighters, even at a high level, they only build their confidence through the fact that they keep winning. But the moment that things don't go their way or that a fighter gives them a tough time, they have a threshold in which their confidence falters. In the Cuss style, you learn how to have a poker face, right? You learn how to never show the other guy that you're intimidated, right? You learn how to sink into your fear and to relax into it. You learn how to be calm and relaxed so that you can see things coming. And on top of that, every time we spar in the Cuss style, we work on being calm and relaxed, because being calm is a muscle. It's not just a mindset, it's a muscle. You go in, you sink into yourself, right? You become more grounded, you become more still, and you actually try to see things coming. And this was an essential skill for Mike Tyson because, as Mike has said in his autobiographies, he was way too emotional in there, right? He couldn't control himself in there. He was a wreck in there until he learned the art of Zen, which was taught to him by Cuss through reading him a book on Zen. And I have a video of that on the channel as well. So the 80-20 of boxing is that it's 80% psychological and 20% physical. But most people, they put all their hours into the physical and none into the psychological. If you're doing the Cuss style the right way, you're getting that 80-20 down, all right? And I have videos that cover the, basically the introduction to that 80-20 that will get you a long way, all right? So right there, just those couple things right there, already you have a massive advantage over the people that you fight. Now, what are, some other obvious ones, right? The obvious ones are that you're protected at all times, okay? Most boxers, they have their hands down, they pull straight back and they're vulnerable, they're in positions where they can take punches. In the Cuss style, we're always covered up, okay? We're always covered up, okay? That means that we always have our arms protecting our rib cage, we always have our chin tucked, and we always have our gloves resting on our cheekbones, okay? And the idea is that, in between our combination punches and, while we're in there, we expect that we are gonna be in fire of some shots. We don't want to take any of those shots, obviously. We want to be elusive. We don't want to get hit. But that being said, as boxing, we know we're going to get hit. So what we do is we put ourselves in a position where, hey, if this guy's an experienced guy, his whole thing is to catch me off guard. Well, guess what? What if I'm never off guard? What if I train in a way where I constantly keep my guard up and I constantly keep everything, tight defense, all right? Now, these are skills that are difficult to master. All right, and again, you have to learn the Cuss style the proper way to be able to execute this stuff. But when you execute this stuff, you're going to be moving 3 to 5 times more in terms of your elusiveness than any other fighter. okay? You're going to be drilling things so that the repetition truly takes over. In the cuss style, we don't just say, hey, repetition, just throw the jab at the bag every day. No, every boxer does that. We do moves every single day that cover the different type of movements that we're going to do in the ring, okay? So we use repetition to our advantage in that way, all right? We train in a way where we are way, in way better shape than whoever we're fighting, right? So that we train so hard that the fight is the easy part. The fight is the party, right? And then on top of that, we train in a way where our output is so much more than the average fighter, right? So we're rattling off fast, hard combinations at a rate that even if another fighter wanted to try to match, they wouldn't be able to keep it up. And on top of that, just because you have all this other stuff, it's going to psychologically wear down on that guy. Your constant assault, your constant pushing forward, that's going to wear the other fighter down, okay? Now, of course, you might have tried this stuff already and it hasn't worked for you. It's because you need to learn the cuss style the right way, okay? And none of this stuff is easy, so that means that you have to watch the videos on the channel. You have to really practice it day in, day out to get the results that you want, all right? But if you can do that, even with the basics that we've covered so far on the channel, it's going to take you a long way. And you're going to track your progress from now, right? From this moment right now, from watching this video, I want you to start to track your progress if you haven't already, all right? Do the things that we've talked about every single day and do them with confidence, do them with conviction, and watch as, you start to have more consistency. This was your success rate previously, up, down, up, down. All of a sudden it's going to be up, down, down, up, right? And it's going to keep going up, up, up. You're going to get more consistency if you practice the right way, okay? So those are the basics of why the cuss style, in my opinion, is the most superior style of boxing that there is, but the rarest due to the fact that it hasn't been taught properly since Teddy Atlas left the gym in the late 80s, all right? But again, if you can get that buy-in, if you can understand why this stuff works, and you can actually start to practice what I'm showing you, you're not going to have to take my word for it. You are going to see the results for yourself, okay? So, any questions that you have about the cuss style, any questions that you have about training, let me know in the comments below. I'll try to answer as many as possible. Wanted to keep this video short and sweet. Maybe ran a little bit over what I thought it was originally, but again, simple point, but take it to the moon and you're going to get massive results from it, okay? So I want to thank you so much for being here, as always, and I'll catch you in the next video.